My name is Robert Yost, Bob Yost. My rank in Vietnam was a Spec 4. My unit was the 9th Infantry Division, 4th Battalion, 47th Infantry Division of the 9th Infantry Division, and halfway through the tour, roughly, the 2nd of the 60th Infantry, both in the Mekong Delta, Long An Province. I probably wouldn't have gone in if I hadn't been drafted. But there really wasn't any choice at that period of time, in 1966. They were looking for warm bodies at that time. I was brainwashed like most other people in this country with World War II and World War II movies. And my father was in World War II, and there was all the glory of the United States and the idea of gaining your manhood by being in war and shooting at people and that kind of stuff. That was all within the framework of my mentality at the time. And so in some ways I wanted to. My father was in the infantry before World War II and ended up in a bakery outfit, but I had that infantry idea, that manhood type stuff, and so I wasn't adverse to going in. But there was still that United States, greatest country in the world mindset, and so I went in with that mindset. Well, I still, and I've studied significantly about this. I did my graduate work on Ministry to Combat Veterans, and so I can't tell you exactly, but I think I was, the United States was going in, and the United States was always considered itself, and still does, the greatest country in the world, can't be defeated. We're bringing goodness to the rest of the world. We're bringing democracy to the rest of the world. It was the idea of the Cold War idea of the domino theory, where people if one country in a certain area went to the communists, that all countries were, and everything was either supported by or supported both by China and the Soviet Union. So that I think I had that much knowledge, and I'd listened to some radical radio stations before that, so I had some understanding of what was the reason, and we were going there to save the South Vietnamese people. I have a more sophisticated idea of what the United States efforts were now. Well, I did. We were very close, especially my squad. I went over with my squad. My squad leader and I were relatively close. Yeah, very close. We had, we didn't talk a lot or that, but we just felt a strong affinity with, especially my squad people and my lieutenant and people that I really felt that I would have died for if need be. How did that happen? It was just being thrown together in an army outfit, an army unit, and needing friendships and needing people that we could relate to, and actually knowing that we could at times need to be protective of each other. Well, when I came back, I didn't recognize it, but I was very depressed. I spent 3 months in the military after that. I started having anxiety, but I didn't know anything about PTSD. Well, there wasn't any diagnosis of PTSD until 1980. I got back in 68. But I was against the war when I came back. I was against the war up until about 2 months after I got into the country. I recognized, even in my very unsophisticated way, that it wasn't a place for us to be. It was a Vietnamese war. It wasn't an American war. But I followed the program, and and so I was involved in various things. 2 or 3 years after that, I worked myself really too hard, and had almost had a nervous breakdown, or came to a nervous breakdown. And I don't know if that's related to the military or not, but I remember having panic attacks, one panic attack right after I got back, and then those things came to more intense after the working too hard. I'm diagnosed with PTSD. And so there's been times I couldn't sleep for many years. Being in combat, or being exposed to combat on a daily basis, for the most part, except when we were on the ships, I guess I would say that the main intangible or tangible is and I think this is pretty characteristic of anybody that's been in a combat situation, you numb your emotions. So we tried not to feel. And we carried a lot of weight, as Tim O'Brien experienced, and so we were exhausted many times, and we didn't sleep very much. I remember seeing a friend of mine get killed, and I didn't have any emotions, and I wish I had. And I remember picking up bodies toward the end of my tour. That I remember that broke me there. I didn't realize I was broken, but I couldn't pick up an arm after it fell off of a stretcher, one of the cooks that we had. So but I think the main thing is exhaustion and numbness. That I would volunteer to do things. I would volunteer for Point to break the numbness, just to be somewhere where it's dangerous. I can evaluate that now, so that I could feel. I think I had dealt with a lot of the things, because I've written a lot about what it was. But I did go back and visited the area. I wanted to see if there was going to be any resolution. I was going to go out and meditate in the area before I took off, and there was 3 kids that followed me, and they wanted to play, and I got irritated for a while, and then I just accepted the situation, and I sat down with them. We had a little talent show. They sang, and I danced and sang, and I always think about. I'm a very spiritual person, I think, and I think that God gave me a different perspective. The war was over, and it was time to play with kids and deal with life.